What is good, everybody? How are we doing? Hope everybody had a great start to their week. I know we did at the floor. We will go ahead and go over that in just a moment here. But how's everybody's week going so far? I'm just going to assume that it's good. How about that? Also, sorry about the lack of a camera tonight. I guess I forgot to plug it in after we were done with the trading today. So, unfortunately, you guys won't get to stare at my face tonight while we're doing this. Off to a great start. Absolutely, Nicole. All right, so first things first here. Before we get into the charting itself, we'll go ahead and go over the trade we took today, not on MSTR, on Microsoft. So, Microsoft, I was actually initially looking at this 394.53 level. We ended up breaking pre-market, and then we also ended up coming straight down off market open here. Obviously, we're not looking to chase moves like that, so we avoided this off open here, but we did get a nice bounce here and a literally perfect rejection entry on this on the 935 candle. Or maybe it was the peak of 934. Give me 2 seconds. Let me double check. Okay, it was 934. It was the peak of 934. And then we ended up going green to red here on this 935 candle. Ended up selling half on the break below this little support we made. Believe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ended up selling half at 936 here. So actually at the low of this wick. The low of this wick, we ended up selling half our position. We ended up coming down, breaking this little support we made. Played this straight through low of day, and on the low of day break, we ended up selling the rest of our contracts here. Now, if you guys hesitated by a millisecond, you guys probably would have gotten an extra 15 to 25% on your contracts just from like an extra second of waiting. This thing absolutely tanked as we were getting out here. So I actually had a lot more room on Microsoft than I was giving it credit for, but we were also already up 60 something percent by the time we got to low of day here. So with a no drawdown trade and a 60% profit, honestly, we just really didn't need to hold for any more than that. And I really like taking advantage of these situations where we can get in a trade, have no drawdown, and we're basically risk-free that whole trade because we had that zero drawdown. We got the move that we wanted pretty much immediately. So in my opinion, those trades are the trades that I end up taking off a little bit earlier because we really didn't have to hold through any BS to get it. We pretty much got in and got exactly what we asked for. So who am I to get greedy on a setup like that and try and hold for more? But yeah, so that ended up being, I'm sorry, not 68%, 64.75% on that trade. But that was a one and done for today, 10 minutes into market open. And yeah, really can't ask for much more than that. So that was what we did today. Also, if you guys want to trade with me and the team, click that first link in the description. We would love to see you in there. But we will go ahead and get moving on to the actual charting session here. We're going to go through my watch list from A to Z here and see what we're liking for tomorrow and possibly the rest of the week, depending on when we see these setups play out. I'm not expecting to have a ton of setups, to be honest. The setups that I've been looking at recently are mainly on the higher liquid stocks like Tesla, Meta. Microsoft is honestly one of those as well. But all these bigger names are really the only names I've been focusing on recently just because the price action has been a little weird overall, and I don't want to try and add in more obstacles when I'm looking at a trade, right? So if I'm looking at a stock that, let's say half the time we have all right volume, the other half of the time we have no volume at all, I don't want to add in an extra element of something to worry about while I'm executing a trade or when I'm about to execute a trade. I pretty much want to find setups that I like on these stocks that I already know we're going to have volume on. And then the only thing I actually have to worry about from that point on is just execution. So if you guys see me skip through some of these, even if there are levels I would typically be interested in, that would be why. But first things first here, what I'm seeing is AMD. We're coming down to this 193.68 support level that we talked about last night in the weekly prep lesson. This 193.68 level is something I'm interested in. I would not look to trade AMD any earlier than that, though. Like the low of day from today, I'm not interested in this low of day. I'm just strictly interested in this 193.68 support. And honestly, room-wise on this, we've got a decent amount of room down. We've got room down to about 192, and then below that, we really have room all the way down to 187 here before we get to our next major support. So overall, we do have a decent amount of room. I have a feeling we're going to be mainly looking for the 192 break on this, and then after that, we're going to be focusing more on momentum than anything. Because if we have the momentum to continue lower, that's great. But if we don't, there's no need to force ourselves into trying to hold all the way down here to this 187 support, even though that really is the next, the only major level in this area. But anyways, so yeah, AMD looks good. I'm definitely leaving that marked. I'm unmarking Apple here because I didn't have anything that I liked there. Amazon, I'm all good. AVGO, I will pass as well. Yay, Baba, Baidu. You know what? This actually looks pretty solid. If it were a stock that actually has volume, I would definitely be looking at that if we actually had volume on this stock, but we are bone dry in the volume department on Baidu. Coin actually ended up breaking that support level we were looking at today as well. Coin is one of those, though. If you guys are in chat, you already know how I feel about Coin. It could be up next on my ban list here, to be honest. 158.40 does not look. See, this is the problem with Coin. It gives you really good looking setups, and then by the time it's actually time to trade them, you'd be lucky to get anything less than a 10% spread and a quick move. That is the problem with Coin, because this setup itself looks very enticing. I'm going to mark it. If we don't have anything else worth putting on the watch list, we can put Coin on there. But if anything at all other than AMD can take its place, it's not going on the watch list. For those of you guys that are new to the channel, I'll just talk while I'm scrolling through here looking for something else. For any of you guys that are new to the channel, if you take a look back at my most recently posted live trade, it's a Coin live trade. And in a trade about a week ago, I said the same exact thing that I did in that video without even realizing it. Every time I trade Coin, I forget why I don't trade Coin that often. Or I remember why I don't trade Coin that often. So that is why we're looking for replacements here. MSTR still looks really good. I like this at 121.87. We are getting closer. We were pretty far away last night when we were looking at it. We were pretty far away this morning, but we are inching closer to this level. And actually, the low of day from today, this doesn't look bad either. We could look to play today's low of day into that 121.87 support. And I think that's still a great looking setup. We also have a 15-minute downtrend here that's lining up about 30 cents below our main 121.87 level. So that would actually be a decent level to use as a target for now, at least. Unless in the morning we have a lot more room on the 15-minute. If that's the case, then we can look for our final target down here at 120.64. But in the meantime, this actually looks really good. I like when we are kind of stair-stepping levels on top of each other. It just gives us super clean targets to look for, and overall, it should be relatively easy to read price action too. So it's a win-win there. So yeah, MSTR looks good. I need to unmark Hood and I need to unmark Google. I don't know why I didn't do that along the way. Let's see. Meta, we've got nothing. Microsoft, we said we don't have anything here either, right? Nope, this is the 180-day low that we just made today. And let's see, where's our next major support on this? 384.40. Oh, we broke it already. We broke it. Okay, so really, what's below that? Ooh. No, we don't have anything for a minute on this, all the way down to like 373. Now, I'm sure, obviously, we're going to have supports that were set intraday during this time, but as far as looking at the actual 1 year, 1 day chart, we really don't have any major supports that are standing out here. So 373.02 is really our next level to look at on Microsoft. Unless we end up setting up something super nice here down at the low of day. But as of right now, I'm just not interested in it. We got our move on Microsoft that we needed today. So if we don't trade Microsoft again for another month, I am completely okay with that. MSTR we've got. That looks good. MU stuck in a consolidation range. NVIDIA has, I believe, earnings on Wednesday after close, right? Let me double check. I believe we have NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday after market close. Yep. NVIDIA earnings Wednesday after close. Hopefully we can finally get out of this range that we have been stuck in for literally, what, since December. Almost 3 months we've been stuck in this, well, not stuck in this range. We've been moving around to the downside, but every single time we've gotten in this zone, we have ended up rejecting for the past 3 months. So, and the last time I counted, I'm pretty sure there were like 27 tests in this area. You could have taken literally any of them and ended up nicely green. But yeah, we'll see if that earnings does anything for us. Hopefully it does. But in the meantime, nothing there. Oracle. If we didn't have anything else that looked better than this already, I would say Oracle's low of day does not look bad. But we do have setups that, in my opinion, look way better than this. So I'm just going to pass on it for now. I'm trying to be as picky as possible, even though I'm sure it's probably annoying to you guys. But that's, that's what I've got to do. I've got to be picky with the setups that I'm trading, or else we're going to get smoked in the meantime. So trying to be as picky as possible here. Yes, I'm aware that there's about 1 million levels that I've passed up on all of these stocks that we probably technically could try out, but do we really want to be in the game of trying things out and hoping that it works? I don't think so. So PLTR I still really like at 127.29. I liked this free market as well, but we ended up doing the same thing that we did with Microsoft today, which was just tanking straight off open. So yeah, I do really like the low of day on PLTR though. That was another level that I had marked out previously. So 127.29 I'm a big fan of, especially if we continue rejecting this 131.01 level. That could be, once again, another very easy read for us here. So if that is the case and this stays the same, then that is beautiful. So PLTR looks great. PayPal, I will pass. RGTI, I'm going to pass. Rivian, Shop, I'm passing. SMCI, nothing. And then all these, Snow, all good. T-Mobile, I'm also all good. And then let's see here. Really last thing we've got is Tesla. Tesla ended up breaking pretty nicely to the downside today. This was another thing that I had on the watch list from this morning that broke directly off open. We did end up coming back down. And honestly, out of everything today, Tesla was probably the least clean setup out of everything I had on the watch list this morning, which is odd because it's usually the other way around. I mean, obviously, typically, something like Tesla is always going to be moving a little bit cleaner than something like Microsoft or PLTR. But Tesla actually looks like it was probably the ugliest mover today out of all of them. And honestly, the low of day on this we could look at, but it doesn't look near as good as some of these other setups we have. Tesla also looks like it very, very easily could end up playing off of this 440-cent resistance that we made after hours. Looks like we could very easily play off of that and have a recovery back to the upside here, basically with everything that we sold off from today. So that's another possibility for Tesla. Not necessarily watch list worthy, but definitely side watch worthy. Possible Tesla recovery. But as far as downside on that goes, I'm really not too interested as of right now. But we do have coin's going to have to go on the watch list, I believe. Maybe not. We just break the level. We just broke the level. That was a message from God. Coin is not going on the watch list. Thank you so much. All right. So really, we have three really good looking setups: AMD, MSTR, and PLTR. Tesla is going to go on a side watch, as always. Meta is also probably going to go on a side watch, if I'm being honest. I don't have any specific levels on these, though. Anything that I would be looking at on Tesla, well, possibly this after hours high, but otherwise it's just going to be an intraday setup that we are reading in real time. So yeah, that is what I've got here. So let's go ahead and make the watch list. It's going to be a fairly short one. Let's see. All right. Delete, delete, delete. Then we are moving up here to AMD. So AMD, I'm going to be looking at the 193.68 flat bottom for a break to the downside. This is the low of a consolidation range from this 217 to today. So what is that? 217. Last Tuesday. So this is the low of a consolidation range from last Tuesday to now. Really wish I could spell when we did these. So looking for a break, well, looking for momentum below, oh my lord, below this range, targeting a move to the next support level at 191.96. Below that, I will just be targeting momentum into the 190 area for my final target. All right, pretty straightforward there. MSTR just broke the low of day as well from today. So we're just going to be looking at that 121.87 level again. So yeah, that's fine. MSTR, looking at the 121.87 support on the 1 hour for a break to the downside, targeting a move to the next major support level at 120.64. Below this, we have room to the 120 break, then the 1 hour downtrend at 116.80 for my absolute final target. And then PLTR, we actually, oh, never mind. Take that back. I was going to say we could just copy and paste from today, but that is not true. So PLTR, looking at the 127.29 support on the 1 hour for a break to the downside, targeting a move to the 126 break, which also, I believe, lines up with another support here. Sorry, 126.23. So targeting a move to the next support at 126.23, 126 break. Then our next major support at 125 for my final target. Let me see if we have any trends here that we need to be worried about. Of course we do. All right. So 126.23, 126 break. 125.74, 30-minute downtrend. Then our next major support level at 125. Okay, cool. And then side watch, we're gonna have Tesla looking for a possible recovery from Monday's sell-off. We are forming a reversal pattern after hours. And then Meta looking for intraday setups / overall momentum. I guess we technically don't really need to write these two down, but either way, we had a short enough watch list, so why not? Anyway, so AMD is downside, MSTR is downside, ELTR is downside, Tesla is upside, and then Meta, we don't know. Don't know yet. But that is what I've got watch list wise. We have about 30 minutes left of the lesson here. I don't know how these lessons always end up being right around the same time. We get the watch list done around the same time every single lesson, regardless of if we have like 7 things, 3 things, 2 things. It always seems to be about 30 minutes in. But we do have 30 minutes here. 30 minutes of my time that you guys can bombard me with as many questions as you can possibly think of. And I will sit here and answer those questions until you guys can't type anymore. So, in the meantime, if you're not in the floor, take a screenshot and do as you please with this watch list. Also, if you're not in the floor, what are you doing? But for those of you guys that are in the floor, I'm going to send the watch list right in here right now. Any tips on how to make a 12-week-old puppy sleep all night? Honestly, no. No, I don't. Only thing that I can do is wish you the best of luck with that because I don't. Well, honestly, yes, but it sucks to do. You just put them in their crate, they'll go to sleep. Even though I'm sure you don't want to put it in its crate. But if it's bedtime for the puppy, if you put the puppy in the crate and then you leave it alone, it will go to sleep. Or poop, one of the two. Maybe both, depending on the night. I don't even think I had my dog when he was 12 weeks old. Might be wrong. But I don't think I had him when he was 12 weeks old. Your crate training? Well, Tony, I would recommend if the puppy needs to go to sleep, it absolutely has to. Put it in there and it'll be fine. It'll probably look at you in the most adorable, depressing way possible until you feel like you absolutely have to let it out. But you just have to ignore it. Let's see, can you go over when you decide to take profit and when we wait for it to hit a certain level? There's been a few trades where I've seen you take profits and it's in between previously marked levels. So part of that has to do with, if I'm being completely honest, part of that has to do with just how much we're up on the trade in general. Like today on Microsoft, we did not need to take profits there, but also that was the easiest layup of 20% that we have gotten in the last 3 weeks. So I'll be damned if I did not lock in any of it, because we still had the opportunity to come back and hit stop loss. If it decided to do that, it would have been very easy for us to come back up and hit stop loss. So while we were just sitting there at 20% in profits after, I took some profits there. That is honestly the main reason that I took profits where we took profits today. Now, I don't recommend trading based off of your P&L, but also that decision, sometimes those decisions are P&L based. That's why I tell you guys all the time, if you're comfortable, take profits when you're comfortable. Like, you don't have to wait for me to do whatever I'm doing. Take profits when you are comfortable. It is your account, not mine. Right? Just like my account is my account, not yours. Exactly. That's the same thing I did too, Eddie. But yeah, I mean, that's why I took profits there, though, is literally just to lock in a green trade. Because if we ended up coming back up, stopping out, I would have still been green on that trade. Also, I took about a 6K position, I believe. It was right around 6K. And I was up about 1,300 off the initial drop right there. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to lock in. At least I'm locking in a $650 trade. Even if we come back up and hit stop loss, I'm still locking in a $650 trade. And I'm not going to be mad about that. I probably would have been a little bit more upset with myself, though, if I let the whole absolute layup of a trade go back to break even, though. So if you elaborate with your question a little bit, I don't know what this person's name is that asked that question. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the whole name you got going there, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more with that question, I can give you better answers if you give me a specific example that you're questioning. But the majority of the time when I'm taking my profits, it's based off of my target levels that I'm looking for, which are built out in our plans. My target levels typically consist of other support and resistance levels that are past my initial entry level, psychological levels, trends. That's the main thing that I base my targets off of. So typically, when I'm taking profits, it is at one of those levels. It's either a psychological level, an actual physical level that we have marked out, or a trend. Oh, it's Keisha. Okay, gotcha. Oh, okay. I see it now. Look some there as well. Yeah, so today's trade, though, in specific, where I took profits on the first half, was literally just P&L based. Which, once again, I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing for you to do. The part where it becomes a problem is if you are literally just selling just because you're green. Like when you get in a trade immediately, when you see that you're green, you're getting out and you're locking in, let's say, $10. But on every red trade you take, you're losing 150 because you hesitate on the sell and you don't sell on your stop loss. Now, honestly, I don't think anybody really does that. You guys are pretty solid. Like everybody in there is actually really solid with following their rules and their discipline and all that, which is fantastic because I don't know how many trading discords can actually say that the vast majority of their community is actually really well disciplined. But anyways, that's really where it becomes a problem though. And that's something that I used to do too. I mean, when I first started, I used to do that all the time. I'd be up like 15, $20 in a trade and just take profits because I was green. And then I saw the candle barely pull back against me and I would freak out and I would sell because I didn't want to end up being red. And then when I would be red, I would hesitate and I wouldn't stop out at my stop loss. So all my green trades were $25 and my red trades were 80 to 100. Right? That doesn't work out. But yeah, um otherwise I don't think it's a horrible idea that because as much as traders like to talk about like I don't look at my P&L, you shouldn't trade based off of your P&L. Yes, they are correct. I say the same thing as well. You should not trade based off of your P&L. But also, you can't pretend like you don't look at it at all. And if you do look at it, it's not like you're disobeying rules. Like you have to glance at it every now and then. Like when I get into a trade, once my order gets filled, the very first thing that I do is look at my P&L just to see how good or bad I got filled. Now you can do that by looking at your fills as well if you want to, or you can just look at your P&L. But that is something that I need to take note of whenever I get filled in a trade. If I get filled, let's say the contracts had a 12% spread, I get in with a 10K position, I'm immediately down $1,200 as soon as I get into that trade. That's something that I need to know, right? Because then that means my stop loss is going to have to tighten up from what I initially thought it would be. So, sorry, I'm kind of ranting now. Does anybody else have any other questions here? Yeah, 20 minutes. All right, I'm going to take the 0 people typing as we have no more questions here. So I'm going to ask one more time. I'm going to give you guys another 2 minutes here. Clash of Clans. What about it, Tony? It looks like it already was, to be fair. I don't think that started with me, and I don't think that started tonight. That base looks about 13 years old at least. 14 maybe. I don't even remember how long I've had this. All right, ladies and gents, say one last time. I have to do it. If you want to trade with me and the team, click the first link in the description. There, I did it. I'm done. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thank you for sticking around. If you guys have any more questions for me that you didn't feel comfortable asking in chat for some reason, feel free to DM me on Discord or Instagram or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I will talk to you all first thing in the morning for pre-market review. Let's crush it again.